It's 7 p.m. here in Ventnor, New Jersey, and Bethesda, Maryland, and this is Saturday night with CarEdge and your hosts, Ray and Zach. As you can see, Zach is teaming up with Brandon against me, and I must say, I don't know if I necessarily approved today's headline.
We're going to jump straight into the data, folks, because I know there's going to be a lot of questions. Hey, y'all talk about 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. You guys talk about every other video. Well, before we go there, folks, I just want to turn our attention to the data or data.
Yeah.
Which way do you prefer, Dad? Data or data?
Well, one is when you're just talking about a specific point, and the other is when you're talking about an overall set of statistics. So I don't know. I like data.
Okay, not sure if that's actually accurate, but I appreciate the conviction there, Bobs. Here's the deal. We have Q1 readouts now. All right, this is coming from Edmunds. Edmunds is owned by CarMax, okay? So just keep that in mind as we're looking at everything. On the road to normal, new vehicle sales expected to lift slightly in Q1. Now, when you dig in, you start to realize that a lot of that is because of fleet sales. Here's what stood out to me. Quality ad-libbing, Dad.
Yeah.
As inventory levels improved, Edmunds data reveals that new vehicles sat longer on dealers' lots in Q1. The average days to turn, DTT as the pros call it, for new vehicles climbed to 34 days in the first quarter of 2023 compared to 24 days in the first quarter of 2022. Why would I, Dad, if I'm going to be coming on here and I'm going to try and build the case tonight for why, here we go. We've got Mrs. Car questions answered. Why Brandon, myself, and others may be saying, hey, just be patient. Might not be 60 days, might not be 90 days, but stay patient over the next couple months. Prices are going to come down. Days to turn has got to be one of those indicators, right?
Sure. Yeah. But you know what would be an interesting statistic?
All right.
Or data point to know.
Let me hear it.
What was the average days to turn in, say, I don't know, 2019, 2020?
Yeah,
when there was 3 million to 3.5 million new cars in dealership inventory on a monthly basis. So, yes, days to turn has gone up from what it was just recently, but it is probably so far below what it historically had been that we might be reading, or you might be reading more into that than I personally think is there.
We get a question already. New or used cars? I'm talking both, and I'll make a case for both. Here's one of the reasons why, Dad, I think I can read into it as much as I am. I put this up on Twitter at Shefska. This is from Automotive News, a screenshot there. Incentives remain low, reflecting tight supplies and demand, but are on the rise across much of the industry. Average incentive spending per unit last month was expected to reach $1,558, up 45% from $1,073 in March of 2022. That data from JD Power and LMC Automotive. That's a big increase, Dad. I know the numbers are still small relative to where we were in 2019 pre-pandemic, but that's a big increase year over year. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a big increase, and it was an increase that we have been speaking about and projecting for the last several months, that as we saw inventory starting to build up to a certain degree, and it's still hovering somewhere around 1.8 million cars. So it's still well below what pre-pandemic levels were. But as we saw those inventory levels rising, we suggested that in order to help move those cars, that there would be more incentives offered from manufacturers, whether it be APR, interest rate incentives on loans. And I have seen that there are a number of APR incentives out there, 1.9, 0% interest. Some, what was it? Many had 2.9 up to 84 months. So yes, we're starting to see incentives, whether it be the APR or probably customer rebates. We're starting to see those go up slightly. They are still well below what they had been pre-pandemic. And I think when Brandon and I debate what we think is going to happen, um, Brandon's debating from his perspective of selling and specializing in cars that are under $10,000.
Of course.
And I'm speculating based on years of running new car franchise dealerships.
Yep.
So the average transaction prices were obviously much higher than that. I am beginning to suspect, just
Huh.
my suspicion, I am beginning to suspect that many of the manufacturers have just decided that those who can't afford a $40,000 plus car,
Huh.
they're not interested in. Okay. Interest rates are making it hard. Let me finish. Interest rates are making it harder for those people to get a car. It's harder to keep the monthly payment affordable, so that they are concentrating their efforts on the $40,000 and above, particularly $50,000 and above market that exists for
Hmm.
the people out there who do have the means and the wherewithal to be able to handle those type of loan payments. That is why I suspect that we're not really going to see a crash in prices where others suspect we will. Now, perhaps what's going to happen is that for the lower priced cars, as more and more people are priced out of even those, maybe Brandon will be correct on cars $20,000 and below, and maybe I will be correct on cars $40,000 and above. I don't know, but that's just my suspicion.
I get bashed for it, but I'm proud enough and I'm opinionated enough to say that I think it's going to happen in both sides of the market. We haven't even talked about one piece, and I'm going to pull up a cartoon on the screen. This is a recent cartoon from the industry publication Automotive News. This
I've
was
heard of
actually
that.
published on January 22nd of this year about floor
Yes.
plan costs. The car
Yeah.
says floor plan costs. The
Yes.
sales manager says, "What's this on our lot?" The finance manager, whoever it is, saying,
Yeah.
"I vaguely remember this model." New vehicle supply going up and to the right. We haven't even talked about it yet tonight, Dad, but this is the other piece to my theory here is as floor plan costs go up. And for
Mhm.
those of you who are unfamiliar with floor plan, I'll pull up another piece of interesting information, Dad. Let me share this tab on my screen. This is so important for consumers to understand because it's part of what drives this market. This was from February 11th. Dealers anticipate knocks to floor plan F&I demand. That a lot of automakers subsidize the expense of financing inventory at the dealership. That was something I learned initially 3 years ago from you. And the more you dig into it, the more you realize it's a huge profit center for dealerships. Back in the
Yes.
early 2010s, you could make $100,000 a year as a dealership just off of floor plan profit. It was a thing that was going on. Well, now that interest rates have gone up so significantly, it's not just that they've gone up for T-bills and for mortgages and auto loans, it's gone up for a line of credit to finance cars on a dealer's lot. And that's
Yes.
exactly what's happening. And so a pinch will happen here. We're already starting to see it with Ford inventory building up of their full-size trucks, with the Ram inventory building up. And you're hearing it from Brandon. If you watched his video where he talks
I
about us today,
did.
yeah, and he talked about he has never gone through. So we're talking about two very different segments of the market.
Exactly.
Full-size pickup trucks that are not selling right now at $60,000 price points. And you and I, we're gonna look at some more data tonight on the show. We're gonna look at, and then you got $2,500 cars, $5,000 cars. Thank you, Mrs. Car Questions Answer, for being here. Brandon has been hearing from dealers about floor plan costs.
Yes.
You got Lucky even talking about this stuff on his channel. They're feeling the pinch already. And I think the other dealers at the other end of the spectrum, they're going to be feeling the pinch sooner than later. That's why you see incentives starting to come up.
I don't disagree, but I don't it's just me.
I know.
And I've said it every time I have made this statement. I have prefaced it with, I hope to God I'm wrong. Okay. I've said that every time, but I I believe in my heart right now that there won't be a crash. Could there be a minor correction? Yeah, but it's not going to be a significant adjustment. Yes, typically during the summer, wholesale values go down. Last year, if you remember correctly, they
Yeah.
started going down like the last week of June and
Yep.
continued throughout the end of the year. And then suddenly they spiked at a more dramatic rate in January than what we had seen historically. And there are many people who would like to say, well, that was merely in preparation for the tax selling season. Well, the tax selling season that didn't really come to fruition. So the spike in January was unexpected to the
Yeah.
degree that it was. And when
It
I
was a
talk to other
surprise.
people, yeah, when I talk to other people, when it comes to quality 1, 2, 3-year-old cars, the dealers are paying all the money and more to get their hands on those.
Hmm.
And that's why I don't think those dealers that are doing that are going to be able to mark those cars up to any great degree. And that's why I believe they'll start using those cars almost as loss leaders so that they have something to sell to people that can no longer afford the new cars. But there's a large segment of the population, and it's a smaller segment than the vast majority of us, but there's a large enough segment of the population that is well heeled enough that they can keep new car sales going strong even at higher prices with limited supply a lot longer than you and I realize.
But
Um,
then why are incentives going up, Dad? Why are the
to,
OEMs starting to
to
put
help
incentives
move
back?
to
And
help
why?
move, but that doesn't it hasn't taken the people out of the market. It's keeping those well-heeled people in the market.
Then let's do a
Okay,
quick test. Let's do a live test.
what they're doing is those well-heeled people are perceiving that there's a deal to be had, and so they find themselves in the market willing to spend what it takes because they're getting that perceived deal. I
Let's do a
I, I
test.
just I just I just think that many of the manufacturers have decided to play to the smallest segment of the population that can afford cars right now. That's
Of
what I
course,
think it
Dad.
is.
Of course,
And
we
I
did
could
the
be
Mazda.
wrong. And
We did the Mazda.
I hope there's a crash. But wait 60 days. I don't know. You might have to wait 120
600
days,
days.
180 days. You might have to wait 2 years. We've been saying for 3 years, just wait, wait, wait. And every time we say wait, 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 the prices just keep going up, up, up.
We haven't been wrong every time, just
No,
most.
no, because we were telling people in the fall that
Yeah, end
wholesale
of year.
values were going down, that you should be looking at if you're looking for a deal, the deals were there to be had in November and December.
And
And
they
we
were.
told people to buy cars in November and December, and we were right about that. Okay. We've been wrong about many of our predictions, but let's remember that's what they are. They're merely predictions. Nobody can 100% predict the future. It's the future. It's unknown.
I'm proud of my stance on this, Dad. I want to do a live test because that's what this show's all about. It's
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, and here you go. Justice is spot on. Justice, one of the car coaches. Yes, October to January. Happy Saturday to you, Justice. You worked your butt off at the end of the month, end of the quarter,
Yes.
helping hundreds of folks buy cars last month. October to January was good. Then it took a spike. Absolutely. But here's the deal, Dad. I want to put it to the test. Let's go to the website, name a car. Some brands are now Igor's 100% right. You're 100% right too, Dad. Of course. We did the Mazda story this week, man. We
Okay.
did the freaking Mazda. Dara and Zach, my sister and her husband, bought a
Yes.
Mazda earlier this year, a new one, a CX-5
Yes.
for 29 grand, 32 grand,
Yes.
something like that.
29 grand. Yeah. Under 29 grand. Yeah.
And now Mazda CEO, North America CEO this week came out and said, as we move towards EVs, we want to be an upmarket luxury brand at an upmarket luxury price point. Yeah, you guys are spot on. Dad, a Jeep Grand Wagoneer, the MSRP is over $100,000. You guys are spot on. You're 100. Toyota,
Okay.
Jack Hollis coming out this week saying we want our average transaction price for a new car to be over 50 grand. You're spot on.
Okay. So what does that tell you? That they perceive if here's the big if. Here's what you have to realize. If they suspect that if we can sell 15 million new cars in this country this year,
Yep.
And those 15 million are to a much smaller percentage of the population than who we sold them to in the past. Well, they're betting their money on the much smaller percentage of the population that has enough money to be able to do it. And yes, they will increase incentives to a degree to create the perception for those who have the money that there is a deal finally to be had. Because that's what it is. It's a perception.
I
And
don't. Yeah.
I listen. I'll say it again. I hope I'm wrong. Okay, I really hope I'm wrong.
This will be the interesting storyline for 2023, Dad. I hope you're
Yes,
wrong too. I hope I'm right. It'll be,
and
nice
and
little.
may I say, I know Brandon said that if I'm right and he's wrong, he's buying me a steak dinner. Okay. And I commented to Brandon today. I think the deal should be if okay, but those are used ones. Okay, so and I said to Brandon today, and if I'm wrong and you're right, then I'll buy Brandon a steak dinner. And since you are now on Team Brandon, you can pay for your own damn steak dinner.
I'll
Either
pay
way.
for the dinner. It's fine. It's all good. I'm happy to pay for the dinner. I am so interested to get data. Every single month we get data from Cox and Edmunds and TrueCar and LMC and JD Power and NADA. And the list goes on. Four Eyes. I think everything that is going to start to provide even more confidence to me in my prediction of what's going to happen. And I want to start now.
Okay.
Let's go. Name a car. Name a car
Oh,
that's got high inventory. Come on, let's do it.
name a car that has high inventory. Why do you do this to me every time? Name a car that has I don't know. How about a Buick Encore?
Do Encores have high inventory?
Every Buick has high inventories.
All right, we're gonna do a quick search. So you want new ones? Let's look at new ones. Because that's the whole premise tonight is new ones, and this is in the Washington D.C. area. Because this is what I want to look at.
And Washington D.C., other than all those young staffers who aren't making any money and can't afford a car, is inhabited by a lot of older people who might see a value in a Buick.
They're moving slow, Dad. Only 33 have sold within 100 miles of this area in the past 45 days. There's 78 for sale, 106 days supply. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about. It's not for all vehicles. Like, let's go back and let's do a. What were you gonna say? I like that noise.
Nobody said it was for all vehicles. First of all, it's regionalized.
Look at that. Look at the RAV4, right?
Yeah.
27 days supply, 42 for sale. Many of those 42 for sale are also probably already sold or in transit.
Yes.
69 have sold in the last 45 days.
Yeah. So what does that tell you?
It's not for all vehicles.
It depends on the model. It depends on the brand. It depends on whether or not it's desirable. But you asked me for something that had high inventory levels. Well, Buick traditionally is on the list of brands that have high inventory levels. Stellantis is typically on the list. Ford is on the list. So yeah, General Motors products, some.
That feels a little bit off, but I think there are certain vehicles, Dad, out there that are going in the trend and in the direction that I'm discussing. And those are the ones where you will see incentives spike. Those are the ones where you're going to see better deals. Those are the ones where this prediction of wait, the longer you wait, the more the pinch will be.
Well, okay, so let's define shocking data says wait 60 days and save thousands. So, okay, so and can we tell people that Chat GPT probably came up with this headline?
Yeah, 100%.
That you didn't. That
artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence. So it's not Ray and Zach that are relying. We're relying on artificial intelligence.
I told it must use the words urgent, shocking, wait 60 days, buy a car and save thousands, but everything else was the computer.
It came up with, no. But what if there is a crash, whatever it is? What are we talking about when we say that? When you say, a pinch, what are we talking about? That vehicle prices are going to go down 5%,
Yeah.
10%,
Yeah.
2%? I mean, what in your mind, what do you think of when you say, yeah, there's going to be a significant savings ahead, and that significant savings should be equivalent to X percent?
My gut tells me, Dad, and this
Yeah,
is informed off of the deals I see on 1500s for Ram 1500s, or even some of the Silverados or standard Ford F-150s. We see right now on those vehicles that are, I'm talking new cars right now, new trucks. We
yeah.
see on those vehicles 10% off of list price, and
Okay.
on some even more with everything
But
else
we're
on them.
seeing
So
that now, and they're
yeah, yeah. So
still
I'm using that as my proxy. So I think you're probably
overpriced even at that, right?
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
100%. But
So
they're market at that price.
okay, so what are you so
So hear
how
me
much
out. Let me
more
finish.
are they gonna go down?
That's what I'm no. I'm hear me out. I'm using that as my basis for saying when
Okay.
other vehicles get to
Y
higher
Would that
supply.
be your delta?
No, we're not talking about deltas yet. I'm saying that when this pinch occurs, and the pinch
Yes.
is going to occur in different segments and for different
Yeah.
makes and models at different times. But when it does, I think you're looking at 5 to 10% off of where the high point is, the current listed price. And my proxy for that is the honestly, you can get 10% off a lot of cars that have high inventory right now.
Yes.
And so I'm saying that when this pinch happens, whether it's for a Buick Enclave or for the Audi A4, you're looking at, I'm going to say 10%. I think there's going to be a 10% decline in prices. The thing that is tricky then
Yes.
is what happens to interest rates if you're financing it, what happens to your trade in, et cetera. So I think that I'm saying 10% is where when I say this shocking data is coming out, we're seeing the days to turn inventory go up. I'm thinking you've got a 10% change, and that's worthy enough of waiting.
Okay, so if I'm to extrapolate from that, for instance, Ford F-Series pickup trucks have an average transaction price of about $66,000.
Correct.
And so you're saying in a reasonable amount of time, 90, 60, 90. I mean, Brandon and I are saying 180 days, but you're thinking 60 to 90 days. Those same trucks that have an average transaction price of $66,000 will suddenly have an average transaction price of 59.4.
No, I absolutely do not. I think the deal
Okay.
at 59.4 will exist, and I think the average transaction price will still be $64,000. I think you'll see a 2, 3, 4% decline over the
Okay, so
next,
it's not a 10%.
but you will be able to get the 10%. But no, hear me out here. I don't think
Okay.
everyone is capable of getting the best deal. That's obvious. I think that's a fair and pretty straightforward statement to make.
Okay.
So I think the average when we look at, for example, Ford, we're going to get their quarterly earnings this month, and then we'll get their quarterly earnings in another 3 months. We'll get to see the data on what
And I
average
think and I
transaction.
think on Tuesday we'll get how many vehicles they sold in March.
And I think that you're going to see 2% decline in sales price or average transaction price. And you might not even see that from the Ford numbers. You might have to look at the Cox data to see that with the dealer fees and everything like that. But I'm telling you that I think that individual consumers, if they can wait it out 60 days, 90 days, yeah, I do think the deals will be 10% lower than they would have been right now. We had a comment come through in the chat earlier. Someone was saying they talked to 10 different Honda dealers in their area, and 8 of them were still doing markups. It's
Mhm.
kind of the same game in the future as it will be today. Like you're gonna have to find the two that actually work with you,
Yeah.
and those two, and I think those two that'll work with you that are sitting on 100 days supply of F-150s or 100 days supply of Encores or 100 days supply of A4s. Yeah, they're gonna give you a deal at the end of the month to get rid of a unit. I absolutely think that.
Okay, so you think that the head of Toyota thinks that the average transaction price for all vehicles will surpass $50,000 moving forward.
Yeah.
Um, so where's the crash? Where
um.
where's the crash? I mean, I'm just where's the is it? Well, could it be less expensive on a monthly basis, perhaps
Yeah.
90 days from now than it is today? Because 90 days from now, there could be and probably will be much larger incentives from the manufacturers to help sell those cars, which could bring down the average monthly payment. Um, is this I don't I guess what we all have to do is trying to find crash and what we really think and hope that means.
Yeah.
I know I suspect, I shouldn't say I know. I
Justice has got a
suspect,
good point we should talk about.
okay. I suspect that when many of our viewers see the word crash or save thousands or shocking data, what they are perceiving
Hmm.
is that new car pricing and perhaps used car pricing will return to what we saw pre-pandemic.
That's never going to happen.
Thank you. Um, and Justice just hit it. I mean, the manufacturers keep raising the MSRPs. Um, so even if you come up with larger incentives and those larger incentives are applied against a higher MSRP, you're still at the same damn price you were before the incentives and before the MSRP increase.
I wonder if we'll see more pressure on the used car market as well. Let's go to the chat here
Okay.
for a minute or two. Pop. This is a good conversation. You're asking
No,
really good questions. I appreciate this. Jackie sent in a
thank you,
contribution which we
Jackie.
appreciate, and she's letting us know on the local news here in Atlanta, 2 dealership employees were arrested for fraud and forgery. One being the finance
I've never
manager.
heard that happen before. Never heard of
That's
that
not
happen. I
true.
mean, I never worked with a guy who took a cash deposit from a customer and gave him a receipt on the back of a business card. And then we never saw that finance manager again. Go figure. I mean, stuff happens. There are people in every line of work who are just crooks,
Yeah.
including some employees in dealerships, including some employees in dealerships that I worked in, including an office manager, a comptroller at a dealership that I worked in that created accounts payable uh, for well shell companies, and well he cashed the checks, and bless his heart, he signed my name to them because I had signing authority on those checks.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've never I've never never worked with crooked people. I know after we discovered they were crooked people, they didn't work for us anymore. Um, but yeah, I mean it happens, unfortunately.
I'm gonna drop a link in the chat. We are starting to open up a wait list for the CarEdge preferred dealer network. If you do any fraud like that, please do not fill out the form. Yeah,
Yeah.
please do not. Yeah, like Perla, please do not share the form link that I just
Yeah.
shared for the CarEdge preferred dealer network with them, with Claremont Toyota. But we are starting to build out and trying to find a.
Well, now why
We're
would
trying to
Jordan
find.
suggest that I could be in jail with Trump?
Yeah, no, there's no need for that conversation on the channel. Thanks for the comment, but no need for that conversation. Again, CarEdge preferred dealer network. If you know someone who's doing good stuff, let them know. We are starting to build that out. Dad, we had a contribution come from brother John.
Okay. Thank you, brother John.
Bought a new 2023 Camry SE 27.7 out the door. Was that a good deal? They wanted to add the crazy $3,000 bogus add-on, but we walked 3 times and they caved. No, that's a great deal.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you got it for MSRP or less, I suppose. I don't know exactly. Um, if you can get desirable vehicles, short supply vehicles at MSRP without additional dealer markup or dealer installed accessories in today's world, then you're doing well. And if you can't find a dealer that is willing to do that with you, and I was taken to task the other day for suggesting that if you can't find a dealer and you just need to keep trying.
We had a
I was
great
told,
email sent to us. Yeah.
yeah, and I was told, well, not everybody has the time to do that, and time's valuable, and I get that. Okay, so sign up for a concierge service, and we'll do all that for you. Okay. However, if most people are buying a car, I don't know, 3+ years, every 3+ years or so, if you can't carve out the 15 or 20 hours that it might take using uh, text, phone calls, emails to find those dealers that will work on your behalf, then yeah, sign up for the concierge service. We'll do it.
But I think that's why the preferred dealer network's actually like a
Yes.
no-brainer, and I'm
Well,
kind of
and it
disappointed
would
that
be
we're
because
3 years in and we're just doing it. But
well, some things take longer to percolate in our brains than others.
I'm starting to talk to some dealers, pops, starting to have some conversations, making sure that they don't charge over MSRP, that if they're going to sell a used car, that we have a common language for what a fair price means. Like, if we're going to send people to a dealership, we got to make sure that they actually like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
because our
exactly.
trust.
Yes.
Trust me, I understand that by saying wait 60 days every 60 days, I harm the trust we build, but then you can hear the candor in the conversation. So, like, we're actually on your side. The moment we start working with preferred dealers, I get a little nervous, but we've got some good ones in the wings working with us. Here we go, Dad. From Thrifting, Michigan, looking for a Ram 1500 2017 under 60,000 miles. What does the market look like for trucks? This is why we've built what we built. So please
Yes.
go use the car search for Ram 1500s, 2017s, yada, 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 and you'll see the days on market and all that fun stuff
Yeah, we'll
right
give you all the
there.
information about how many have sold, and the comparable vehicles have been sold in the market area over a certain period of time. And so, yeah, that's the type of information you need to utilize in order to have a clearer understanding as to what you should be paying for something like that,
Yeah,
or if
here I'll
something like that even exists.
pull up a quick example here, and it also demonstrates just how crazy RAM inventory is right now. And then we want to turn our attention. Folks are talking about some dealers in California, and I've got a dealer in California. Dad, this is for the 1500, the Ram 1500,
Yeah.
a 300, and this is in the Washington D.C. area, guys. 332 days supply, 723 are actively for sale, and only 98 have sold in the last 45 days.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
So
effing
yeah,
insane.
so if you need a Ram 1500 in the Washington D.C. area, you should
Every
be able
one
to
of
get it.
them Every one of them, Dad's gonna say low negotiability score because there's only 31 days on the market when the days
Yeah,
supply is 332.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, I would think if you should be able to get a deal on one of those in the Washington D.C. area. Now, the same might not apply, say, in the Dallas Fort Worth area, or it might not apply in Montana. Um, you know, but in the Washington D.C. area, where we still see a lot of pickup trucks, but not nearly as many as we see in other parts of the country, yeah, if you need one, contact your local dealer in Washington D.C. and see what you can do.
There you go from Justice. Yeah, again, Justice, one of our car coaches back at CarEdge.com. And again, thank you, Justice, for your efforts here at the end of the month and end of the quarter, helping folks get deals. Now, Dad, we had a
Yes.
community member send this in to me over on the Instagram, and I want to pull it up so that we can take a look at it together. This is the type of stuff that would not fly and will not fly in the CarEdge preferred dealer network. So here is an
Yes.
online advertisement. All right,
Yes.
this is for a Hyundai Ioniq 5, and you can see
Hyundai.
here
Yeah. Yeah.
Ioniq 5,
Yes.
58,300, $235 is the MSRP.
Yeah.
Well, then you click on the next screen
Yes.
and the MSRP is now 59,330. So it's like, okay, I
Same
wonder what's
car.
same car.
Wow.
Now, could
You
just
know.
be a website. Could just be a website issue, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
empathetic to that.
Yeah.
We have our own website. So then you go to the next step to buy it, and now the
Yeah.
net dealer price, which is a new term, is now
Yeah.
$70,619. The MSRP stayed the same, but we have the market adjustment, and
Yeah.
it gets even better because then when you make it to the next screen on that, they let you know, hey, sales tax and your registration and fees. It's actually a $72,400 and
What
$67.
was somebody's got to explain to me how sales tax can only be $353 on a
This
70.
is Oregon. This is Oregon, Portland,
Oh, okay.
Portland.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is like the one state where that can
Yes.
actually happen.
Yes.
But I mean, we had a community member send that into me and just say, "What? Like WTF?
Yeah. Well,
WTF?"
why wouldn't you say that? And once you see it, why would you ever do business with that dealer? And why would that dealer think that that type of marketing is appropriate and going to attract customers long term? It's not. And that's the type of dealer that we would never recommend, and that would never become a CarEdge preferred dealer. Um,
That's the type of stuff that the FTC should already be enforcing rules around, and they're not.
yes.
It's sad. It's just absolutely sad.
It's well, you could call it sad or you could call it fraudulent. Call
Here
it
we got
what
from
you will.
Joan.
It's sadly fraudulent.
Joan's a new member of our community, Dad. I'm a senior and a first-time car buyer. If a Subaru dealer offers me a Forester for $350 below MSRP, is that worth taking? If I'm not mistaken, Dad, I'm going to pull one up on the community
Yeah.
forum. Isn't Subaru one of the ones where we get the nice discounts for being ASPCA members and things like
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think you can get it for invoice or $100 over invoice, something like that. But I think you have to make like a $500 donation in order to qualify for that.
So, Joan, I think with a Forester in your area, and Subaru dealers typically tend to be nice.
Yes.
I'm gonna be generally positive about that. I'm gonna pull up an example here for you, Joan, but I'm just gonna encourage you to work with our team or at least post on the community
Well,
forum because you can
Justice says
see
you should be able to get it for $500 under invoice. I mean, under MSRP on a Forester.
5% under. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. So here's an example from Bruce. If you're not on the community forum sharing stories and helping others, please do that. Just signed papers
Yes.
on a new Subaru Forester Sport, and they gave me dealer cost. So there you go. Invoice price was a deal that was able to get done 3 months ago.
Okay.
All right, Pops, let's go back to the chat here. We got a contribution from Bailey Got Beats. We appreciate that. Is
Yes.
$20,000 good for a 2019-2020 Grand Caravan SXT MD? Can we talk through how we figure out what fair prices are for used cars, Dad?
Go right ahead, because this question reminds me of a 10,000 piece jigsaw puzzle that only has 9,994 pieces. We're missing way too much of the information.
And that is super fair. We can still try and help Bailey point him in the right
I'm not
direction.
saying, but how many miles? There's things we need to know. Clean Carfax, clean title. There's a lot of things that you would need to know in order to, but you can do market research, I believe, right on CarEdge.
Yeah, I think the first thing that I would do,
60,000 miles,
the
according
first
to
thing I would do to try and figure out if that's something I'm selling or if that's
Yeah.
one that I'm buying, the first thing I'm doing is I'm plugging it into CarWiser, so
Yes.
caredge.com/sell, see what the cash offers are from other dealers in the area. So that kind of gives you the wholesale value for the vehicle. And
Yes.
then get some trade-in values, like get black book values, get a KBB value, do the whole thing and check market conditions. Those would be the
Yeah.
ways to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're going
Utilize.
to enterprise Hertz car sales, we're not huge fans of rental cars. I'll drop a link in the chat for you, Bailey, on that one. We're not huge fans. We're not huge fans of rental
But I
cars.
would say this: if you're going to Enterprise or Hertz, typically those that they sell off their own used car facility lots are the cream of their crop, and it's only the crap that they send off to the auctions.
Yeah, if you're buying a rental car at the auction, that is not a good
Yes.
quality car. All right, popping that. Yeah, you got. All right, there you go. I popped a link in the chat. Hopefully that can be.
Look at you. You are such a good guy.
Here we go, Dad, from Ben. Thank
Yeah,
you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Hi, R&Z. Talk to a Subaru dealer down $4,000 off MSRP on a top trim Outback in Northern Virginia, no less. Are you seeing deals on Subarus lately? Yes. Even though they don't have a lot of supply, Subaru dealers, maybe those will be the ones that we try and lean into for the preferred dealer network because they seem to be friendly and most to negotiate.
Yeah, one of James, a member that I communicate with quite a bit, recently bought his second Subaru Ascent Touring, and got a great deal on both of them. He traded in on the last one. He traded in his wife's Palisade, and the reason they traded it in, they got sick and tired of receiving recall notices every couple weeks. And they now have two Subaru Ascents in the touring tour. I don't know. It's a pretty top of the line, and they absolutely love it. Doesn't necessarily have all the same features as the Palisade, but they absolutely love the vehicles, and they're thrilled with the deals that they were able to get. I think he got about 10% or 11% off of MSRP on those that he was looking at.
Got to give brother John some kudos. The MSRP on that Camry Dad was 31.8.
Okay.
All right. And he was able to get it. What was it? 27.7.
Yes. So yeah, I would say you did very well, my friend.
Here we go from NFC Soccer. Thank you. Watched your videos as I look for a new car, and one of the things I'm glad Ray mentioned is was to focus on the out the door price. Kia salesman yesterday kept turning me towards payments. That's how they're
Yes.
trained.
Yes. And they're trained that way because that's what the sales manager wants to know, because the sales manager knows that if you're just working payments, then the actual selling price of the car becomes secondary, because, well, you're just focused on what that monthly payment is. And you can and probably are still a payment buyer. Remember that 85% of all people that buy cars finance them, but that doesn't mean that you can't be a payment buyer after you've established the out the door number. And here's something that I will say again and again and again. You need to know what you can afford on a monthly basis
Yeah.
before you go into a dealership. If you can afford $600 a month, okay, and you have $5,000 down, you need to, and you don't want to finance it, say, for more than 72 months. You need to know what that total can be and only look at cars that would get you to that total amount. Don't go in looking at $60,000 cars expecting to get that so the onus is on you as the customer. And sometimes I say consumer, and people get mad at me, and they go, "Well, it doesn't sound good." Well, you know what? A customer is a consumer, and a consumer can be a customer.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, they're one and the same typically. But the onus is on you to know what that means when you say I can afford X. So you have to do the math to know what X actually means you can finance. And you need to know that before you go in, and you need to get pre-approved on your car loan before you go in, so that you know that it actually fits within X. Okay. So that part of the dealio, as I like to say, is on you as the customer. The dealership's salesperson and sales manager just want to convert you strictly to a car payment and not worry about the out the door pricing, because, well, they can adjust term. You might want to go no more than 72 months, and
Yeah.
they might convince you to go 84 months. Or maybe, how about we compromise 78 months? So they'll always push term, make it longer to keep the payment lower. Meanwhile, they haven't necessarily adjusted the out the door pricing. So please, please, please concentrate on the out the door price. Then, since you already have your pre approval, you know what that's going to equate to in your monthly payment. You know that before you've gone in.
So, Pops, for someone like Erica, my car was totaled. Very
Yes,
sorry to hear that. I have to
yes,
buy car suggestions. Everything you just said resonates so deeply with me, but I've been doing this with you for 3 years. I want to
yes,
let everyone in on a little secret, and hopefully it's not a secret. We have Deal School, caredge.com/deal school. I dropped the link in the chat. Erica, Deal
yes,
School is a great place to go because it's all organized and in one place. Okay. How much car can you afford? Here are the key takeaways. We've actually got PDFs for you that you can download. There's even a community chat section in here as well. So as you're going through the different courses, you can actually talk with other community members who are in the process as well as obviously download those PDFs. So I bring this up partly to say, I know we make a lot of content. We read everything that we try and do our best to read through things. Yeah,
yes,
concierge is also an option, Erica, but you can do it. You can 100% do it. Like, we're here to help. Okay. And Deal School is a great option for those of you who are in a situation where you can't wait and you need to go move forward. Do it. Please go do it. And there's so many people on there, on the community forum especially, that just want to help.
yes. Yeah, and
Thank you
and
for that.
there's and what is the charge for using the community forum?
The community's free.
Okay, there you have it, folks. Um, Are there things that we charge for? Yes, there are things that we charge for. Is the vast majority of what we have for you available at no cost to you at all? Absolutely. So utilize the community forum. There are thousands of members that would share anecdotes with you, what they've experienced, where they've gone. It's just, it is a great resource to give you a better understanding of what the market might be in your particular area. Use it, please. No
Pops, we had a
cost.
question come through. Thoughts on purchasing through Vroom. Man, Vroom, Carvana, it's not worth it. Is I think where that's ultimately my stance, and I think your stance too.
You know, there've been way too many issues with Carvana. There have been issues with Vroom as well. Um, I just think you're better off actually driving a car, inspecting the car, having a pre-purchase inspection done prior to buying the car, than relying on a digital marketplace where you get to look at photos. Um, there's been times that we've gone on vacations and we've rented an Airbnb,
Yeah,
and in some cases the pictures don't align with what the place really is.
100%. Definitely.
So and that type of stuff can happen, and it's the car business. Nobody thinks dealers are saints to begin with. Why would the digital dealers be any more saintly than the brick and mortar dealers?
They
There's a
wouldn't.
question to ask. Why would they be? They're
They
not.
they make money in the same exact way.
Yes.
They sell warranty. Yeah, they do the same shit
Oftentimes they
stuff.
misrepresent the vehicles. Okay, they misrepresent the condition of the vehicles.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean the attorney general for the state of Texas brought a suit against
yeah.
Vroom.
Class action suit. Yeah,
Yeah, for that very reason, where they were
yeah.
misrepresenting condition and other things. So as much as people hate dealers, and to a large degree, I can understand why. You're still better off finding the good dealers in the particular area that you live and go check out a car there.
So we've got some conversation going on in the chat, Dad, about TrueCar, which I find to be fascinating. I used TrueCar and
Yes,
got texts from 10 dealers at once. That was before I discovered CarEdge. And then we have here, Pops, I use TrueCar. The dealerships pretend not to honor or know the price. It depends on the dealership. That's it. Like, we're starting to work with a handful, and we're going to take it slow, just like we're doing with Concierge. We're going to take it very slow, but we're starting to build out the CarEdge preferred dealer network. We the way TrueCar makes money is by charging that dealership for the lead. It is the
yes.
most backwards approach to trying to be a consumer advocate, and so why their business model makes no sense to me. So as we're doing the preferred dealer network, we will not make money selling leads to dealers. That is like the fatal flaw in how you could potentially approach this. You have to just have agreed upon pricing so that people aren't getting screwed. It's all about trust and transparency and fairness, and that's 100% what we're trying to build there. You used to work with TrueCar all the time, and it was a pain in your butt.
I hated TrueCar because I knew that um, the quality of the leads was going to be suspicious at best. Even though you could say, well, we don't want the leads to come out of an area that's more than 30 miles from. I was running a mini dealership in Towson, Maryland. Okay, and I'm getting leads from Connecticut. How many mini dealerships would they have to drive past to get to our dealership? I mean, what are the odds?
Yeah.
The odds aren't very good. So yeah, and it was like you just paid, whether you sold them or not, it didn't matter. You paid X amount of dollars per month. This was way back when, and the leads came to you, and you had already agreed to discount pricing of the vehicles, and either it was good enough or it wasn't good enough. In many cases, it wasn't good enough, and especially for the ones coming from Connecticut.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, yeah. It's a lead generation tool for a dealership that a dealership pays quite a bit of money for.
Hopefully over the next couple months we can keep building stuff and empowering people so we can kind of push TrueCar to the side. Shannon, thanks
Yes,
for being here.
thank you,
Appreciate the
Shannon.
contribution and your continued support of what we're building here. Another great show. Enjoying my Saturday night dinner while watching you guys and learning something. Well, hopefully one of these days we can all sit down for dinner together. David says, when is Marcello from Toyota World coming back? On Thursday.
Did Marcello pay you to ask that question? I just want to know because I know, as a matter of fact, that you just set it up with Marcello for this coming Thursday.
Yeah, over on the Rain Zach channel, we will have Marcello, who is a sales manager of a Toyota dealership up in Canada. He will
Yes,
be with us, Maple Toyota, if I'm not mistaken, I think the largest volume dealership in his province or in the country. But either way, it's a larger dealership.
yeah,
And he has a channel called Toyota World. He'll be on with us on Thursday
yes,
over on the Rain Zach channel, which we're really excited about.
absolutely. I was going to say we should get his opinion on what Mr. Hollis had to say.
Absolutely. Dad, from Deepak, here we
Yeah,
got. Just bought a car for the first time and I got it 1.6, $1,600 off of MSRP. Thank you, CarEdge, for all your videos. It's success stories like that, no matter how many comments we get, loving us, hating us. It's success stories like that, knowing that
yes,
real people are saving a ton of money. And the fact that we get to do it with a bunch of people that we really like working with too. It's so rewarding.
yes, yes. Real
Really,
people
really.
working with real people, saving them real money.
So I want to come back to one thing that we
Okay.
talked about at the beginning of the show, and this can kind of be our one of the final thoughts for tonight's stream, Dad. So last year, we saw automakers cut back on the amount of floor plan assistance they provided to dealers, and I think this is another factor. So, for example, here this is from May 4th, 2022.
Yeah.
Ford dealers are receiving less money to cover floor plan costs. So, for example, here, and I'll scroll down. Bear with me. Bear with me. So one of the things, this is a direct quote from the CFO at Ford. So one of the things we did in the quarter is we adjusted our floor plan to dealers. In the past, we had paid them 1.5% of MSRP to cover the floor plan. Just let that sink in, folks.
Yes.
Floor plan is just money going straight to the dealer. Okay, just
Yeah.
absolutely goes straight to the dealer. And if they turn the car quickly, it's just
It's a
profit.
profit.
We've adjusted that to about 75 days. Actual cost up to 75 days. The reason I bring this up, Dad, is because Ford did this, and you've got to imagine some other automakers did this as well. There's definitely a moment in time when the pinch happens, and that pinch can be whether it's from Ford giving you floor plan assistance or your captive lender who you actually have the line of credit through who could give you curtailment payments and say, hey, we need payments on these loans. Okay. One of those two things is going to influence this I'm saying precipitous decline in prices. And I think over the next couple of months, it's kind of like at the beginning of the pandemic. Like you need to be in tune with the market because there's so much volatility that could be at play. And as you see inventory aging, that becomes more important, just like it did pre-pandemic. Older
Well,
inventory, new or used, you're going to have a better chance of negotiating.
older inventory today, the dealer would be even more motivated to sell it because the cost of carrying that inventory every day has gone up dramatically. We discussed it the other day. Floor plan interest rates not all that long ago were maybe at like 2%. Today they're between 6 and 7%. That's
2% and you had no inventory. I mean, no
yeah,
wonder if the manufacturer's paying you 1.5% of MSRP on every unit you get, that's just 1.5% of MSRP straight to your bottom line.
yeah, and even today, if they're only going to pay, the actual cost it that the dealer incurs to floor plan that for 75 days, well, guess what? That's a lot of money today. If they're paying actual cost because floor plan interest rates went up. So, and obviously the dealer knows that he doesn't want to hold on to that car past 75 days because now it's really starting to cost him money. Otherwise, Ford was paying for it. Now he's paying for it. Well, that's a big difference. There's a big difference. Floor plan expense is a real expense when interest rates are no longer as
Free.
low as they had been. Yeah, it was
It was
virtually
free.
free money. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It
AG
was
wants to
like
know, is floor plan different from holdback? Sorry, go ahead. Then let's hit on that.
yeah. Floor plan is different from holdback. Holdback is typically a slightly higher percentage, and that's typically based on the base MSRP, and that is paid to the dealer quarterly as they sell these vehicles. So holdback is completely different from floor plan assistance, and it's completely different from advertising assistance. These are just ways that dealers and manufacturers have come together to create what's known as under the line money. Under the line is on a vehicle invoice. The bottom line is whatever the bottom line is. And then there's all this money under the line that you get: the floor plan assistance, the holdback, the advertising assistance. And then if there's any programs from the manufacturer, incentives and things like that, dealer incentives, that also is under the line money. So it's if a dealer, when I would share an invoice with a customer, it was like, okay, here's the invoice. Yes, we make money above and beyond what it says here, but how much over invoice would you be willing to pay us? Let's just say that we're partners in the business. And what type of return on your investment are you looking for on this investment that cost you $42,000? Name your number. If it's reasonable, we'll sell it to you.
Yeah.
And that was in the old days when the average front end profit, not including holdback and all that, front end profit was about $200 to $300 a new car. Today, it's probably $2,000 to $3,000 a new car or more.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got from NFC, no, we're short on time, but what should we do if the dealer won't share their invoice? Walk. See if someone on the community forum has an invoice. Not all dealers are going to share an invoice.
Yeah, I mean, if you came to me even in these crazy times when there were additional dealer markups and things like that, and you said, well, will you show me the invoice? I would say absolutely. I'll be more than happy to show you the invoice. I won't sell you the card invoice. I won't sell you the card invoice plus X amount of dollars or X percentage over it, because the market supports more than that today. But I'll be more than happy to show it to you. Just, but then there's other dealers out there that are going to say, well, if you want to see the invoice, you got an extra $10-12 million by the dealership. You can look at all the invoices. It
dealer
just depends.
in the network, dealer not in the network. That's how it's going to be.
Oh my God. Somebody said I have a crazy thunderstorm heading my way. I can't wait.
Pops, here we go from Brother John. Let's give him another shout out. I mean, this is really incredible. Thank you, Brother John. So this was on that Camry, right? That was 27.7 out the door, down from a $31,000 MSRP.
Yeah.
Great interest rate through Toyota Financial Services. We obviously partner with credit unions to help people get pre-qualified. If you can get a subvented rate through the captive lender on a new car, do it.
Yeah.
$523. What's that loan term, Dad?
36 months.
6 months. A significant amount down. That's awesome.
Yes. I hope you didn't go for gap insurance, because you don't need it. And I would say 36-month note is half of the average length of term for most purchases today, whether it be new or used cars.
I'm just proud.
You did great.
I'm proud right here.
Yeah. No, you did great.
And you just mentioned gap insurance. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. We have guides for pretty much anything. Okay. So just Google any type of car question, space CarEdge. Okay. And our stuff will come up, and it's good. It's all got videos there for you. It's got all the information. I mean, look at this, Dad. What is gap insurance? What does gap insurance cover? When is coverage worth it? What about leasing? The cost of gap insurance, how to negotiate it. Should I cancel? So I'm proud of us, man. I'm proud of the resources we've been making.
I am too. No, I think, aside from our BS hyperbolic thumbnails and titles for our shows and our videos, the information that is shared is solid.
Yeah,
really
no,
solid.
100% is solid. Yeah.
No,
and trust me, I'm all ears on the 60 days, but I feel confident this time around. And you know what? If for nothing else, we'll have a few nice dinners riding on who is right and who is wrong. And hopefully a couple thousand folks can save a couple $1,000s each when they go to buy a car. That is my hope.
Yeah. And I would look forward to heading to the Charlotte area to meet up with Brandon and his lovely wife, and we could all go to dinner and talk about the business and talk about us, neither one of us being right or both of us being right in our own. Who knows? But just to break bread with Brandon and his wife would be ideal.
Yeah, and we'll have more CarEdge automotive roundtables in the near future, and who knows, maybe someday we can get a bunch of folks in one space as well. I think that could just be really incredible. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll continue to work our butts off to try and help folks and to just try and build a community around being educated, empowered, and
Yes.
informed. Really, really, really proud of that. All right, Pops, let's and Johnny Blaze agrees with you on the clickbait titles. Yeah, but the unfortunate thing.
Is it,
Yeah, and here we go. Yet
yeah.
another clickbait. Yeah, I said them, gang. I said them. So like,
Yeah. We know they're
teach my
clickbaity.
dad how to do it. Teach my
Yeah.
dad how to do it, and then they'd be
Yeah.
different. But I do them. So
Yeah. And he knows they're clickbaity, but you know what? That's what works. That's the way the whole internet works.
and
I
then if you actually watch the video, you build the trust because you
Yeah.
see that we're real people that are doing
Yeah.
this. We're not.
That
So
are giving you
yeah,
real advice.
yeah.
And either you can take something from it or you can't. And if all you can take from it is, well, it's a clickbaity title, well, then we weren't here for you in the first place.
Well, no, we are here for you, and it's Thank you, Brandon. Thanks for saying that. Algo is tough work,
It
and
is.
Brandon, yeah, it really is. But hey, anyway, we are here to help. Thank you for being here tonight. Good conversation,
It
good
was.
debate.
Yes.
Thank you for doing it with me, Pops. Stay safe. Okay, you've got a
Yeah.
really, really, really big thunderstorm, I think, heading your way. Lots of winds, so please stay safe.
Hardly ever gets windy here at the shore.
If we weren't able to answer one of your questions tonight, I see
Yes.
some. Hey, Laura, that's my
Yeah.
girlfriend. I'll be home soon. Hopefully, I don't get blown over in the wind. But for you, for example, Caesar wants to know, here's MSRP, $48,000 out the door. This is where the community forum, Caesar, becomes your best friend. It's caredge.com/community. It's 100% free. Post your car deal in the deal review channel. Okay? Please, please, please take advantage of the free
Absolutely.
resources. Okay? But Pops, let's have a good night. I'll be
You
back with
too.
you on Monday in the
Yes.
Rain Tech channel, correct?
Yes. Ray and Zach channel, Monday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, 8 a.m. Alaska time.
We got Justin here with us on a Saturday night. Justin,
Yeah.
thanks for
You
being
know,
here.
I may I say this as my parting shot. I feel so bad for you and Laura and Justin and Justice and Space that this is your Saturday night. You kids need something better than this on your Saturday nights. But I do appreciate the fact you're here.
So I do clickbait and you tell people to stop watching. Come on, man.
At least I'm honest.
At least you're honest. I love you, Dad. Thank you
I
for the
love you
fun
too,
show.
handsome.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. We'll see you on Monday over on the Ray and Zach channel.
Absolutely. Have a great night, everybody, and thanks for spending part of your Saturday with us.
You're funny, man.